Uh-oh.
Hello everybody. Where do I start? Well, this video is in response to the hagiography video which was on Paul Understanding Conspiracy's channel, where he had JT co-hosting and Adam Bueller, Adam Dan Bueller, Dan Blue Dan, Adam Adby was the guest and presented some AI research which purported to be real secret Vatican documents that AI found, proving that saints were doing wonderful things during the millennial reign, which it seems most people bought without checking. I think we are most likely in the little season. I believe what Jesus said. I know criticism here is that this refers to the transfiguration, this verse. I don't agree with that. My interpretation is different. I do not believe that the transfiguration was the full coming of the kingdom, the Son of Man coming in the clouds. I don't believe that at all. Where every eye will see him. No. It's not the same thing. But I know it's a popular criticism. Be that as it may, and then the millennial reign, I believe, was literal. Not because I think so, just because I think so, but because the Bible says so. Then, if the millennial reign is then hidden, it's a physical millennial reign that they've hidden. Now you need 1,000 years. For that you can watch HAGI-HOAXERY. His work proves one cataclysmic event has been turned into 3 on the history books, first millennium. How do we know? The stratigraphy shows that. There's one layer. Rome, then us. I don't go to Tartaria for my evidence. Tartaria is not the millennial reign. Don't conflate the two. There's a difference there. I don't do Tartaria. It leaves one open for criticism, and then it's easy to conflate little seasonism with Arianism. And we're not there. I'm not there. That's not what I'm saying. I don't believe that the man with the moustache was a good guy. Okay? One can't believe that when one is truly awake, because you know that everything is run by a small group of people and everything is Hegelian dialectics. So there were no good guys in the Second World War. It's always engineered by a small group of people. It's all dialectics. So I'm not into the Arianism. The man with the moustache was a good guy. Tosh. It's tosh. I believe the saints then would have ruled with Christ because the Bible says so. So I believe that. I believe that they ruled. I do not believe that angels built anything, because angels don't build. Because angels aren't angels aren't angels. Angels are about what a thing does. Messengers, bringing messages. Not what a thing is. Please, Heiser refers. So we don't have serpentine angels, and we don't have angels building buildings. I'm not there. I don't buy it, and I don't like it when people talk like that. It leads to confusion. So, if we are in the little season, who are we then? I hear chatter about the Bible's not specific about the second resurrection, because all it says at the end of the 1,000 years, second resurrection. We don't know if it's at the end or at the beginning. There are 2 resurrections. The first resurrection, the saints. The second resurrection, for the great white throne judgment. If you fiddle with that, you get to reincarnation. And that's unbiblical. I hear a lot of large accounts saying that. It's tosh. Survivors of the trib went into the millennial reign. And descendants of those survivors came out of the millennial reign at the end of the reign. From one day to the next. People who didn't want to keep quiet went into asylums, and children were re-educated. That's my view. It's not brain surgery. No need to go to reincarnation. Okay, unnecessary. So those are the basics for me. I want to get that out and clear so that people can't misquote me and assume that I think things that I don't think. So the hagiographies video was live streamed on the 16th of March. And it had a live chat. Let's just go in a little bit. Paul saying whatever he says, and he says he's got no reason. Oh, there's crypto. But anyway, hey, Jason Jack, hey man. Okay, I digress.
Adoring biography of an individual, which is...
Okay, so hagiographies are biographies of saints. Now, let me just get Paul off that frame, because if I leave him on that frame, people say I'm trying to make him look bad, which I'm not. But there are no holy cows for me. Understand that the little season is not something they, in inverted commas, want to come out. They will throw everything in the kitchen sink at it to try and make it not come out. We've seen what they did with trying to conflate preterism with little seasonism. That's now died down. Now, about a month or so ago, I spotted something's not quite right. There was a shift. Something changed in the air, you know? I'm not the only one. Lots of convos in DM. Other people feel it, they just don't say it. But it's off. So this video, as much as it will talk about the hagiographies video and that body of so-called research, it will also show you just how I clocked it and where I tried to warn about it and so on. So I like to bring receipts. I've been working on this video since the 17th, day after the live stream. And every day since then, something's happened. But we have a basic starting problem. There seems to be a problem among believers. They trust people who tell them they're Christians just because they tell them they're Christians. The easiest way to deceive somebody is to tell them you're one of them, and then you rot the thing from the inside out. Now, if you who are watching this get that, why would the little season be any different? Do you really think that the little season will be spared from infiltration? Or even large accounts pretending to be little season only to sink it later? Do you really think that everybody running around on Twitter pretending to be a little season account is a little season account? If you think that, with the greatest of respect, that would be terribly naive. It's not just having a large account that makes you a shill. You've got to watch what people say. The attacks which conflated little seasonism with preterism seem to have died down. But now we have other problems. I think we infiltrated, and I also think larger accounts are part of it. This next part's going to take about 20 minutes, but it's crucial. Otherwise, you won't understand where I'm coming from. You won't see the dots. Let me start with Shills. I found him at 8K followers in October. He started his account in October, and he had 8K followers in January. That's odd. And he also had blocked me. No interaction. He then fibbed and said he blocked me before he joined Twitter. And somewhere else he said he blocked me because I annoyed him. Now, which is it, Shippy? Pick one. Anyway, he did an anti-little season thread and tagged me. But before I could reply, I was going to do a debunk actually on the YouTube channel. But before I could do it, someone else had stepped in and done a fairly good debunk of Shills and tagged me to that debunk with a whole lot of other people. So before I knew it, I found myself on a thread with a whole lot of other people tagged. I looked through the people who were tagged. I had 2 of them blocked. I unblocked both because they were both now in the little season sort of group. And the second one was Dan Bueller or Bueller Adam in the hagiography video that Paul did. Understanding Conspiracy did. I can't remember why I blocked Dan Bueller, but something must have bothered me about him. I can't remember. And I told him so. I said so. Anyway, then at the end of that little short chat there, I got a I love you or something from him. I always find that odd. You know, when people don't know me, but they love me. Sure, we love one another in Christ. We do, because brothers and sisters and all that. But I find that I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I find that super odd. The next thing that happened was somebody popping in saying, would I co-host a space with him? I said, no, thank you. So he then said, okay, if I do a space, will you come and join? I said, okay, if I'm awake, I will. That person then set up his space. He wanted to read a little season book written by this account. Now, this account drops her or his book on everybody's timelines. Drop, drop, drop. Even did it onto mine. And I said, thank you, I will read through it because I don't send stuff on just having it dropped. Thank you, I'll read through it. It's just odd, this dropping stuff. Anyway, Someone else who has my back then popped into DM and said, hey, see, I don't know if you're aware, but that person is a Paul denier, the author of that book. And I went and I had a look at that author's account on Twitter, and indeed that person is. Now, I have no time for Paul deniers. You know, when you do that, you have to eventually delete all the books out of the New Testament, including the Gospels, if you doubt Paul. And then you're left with 3 books in the New Testament, and all the Gospels are gone, which means Jesus is gone. See it? And that's why I have no time for Paul deniers. Now, the person who had done this space tagged me to join. Everybody should know by now how much I dislike being tagged, but anyway. And I replied right there, because I saw which book was going to be read. And I said, listen, I will not be listening to this, because the person who wrote this book is a Paul denier. I then explained why I don't have time for Paul deniers, and posted my threads. And I said, if you want to read something that's biblically grounded, this is a better book. And I posted this book instead. If you want to read this book, it would be better. So the person who organized this space changed the book from what he wanted to read to what I had suggested, which was a good call. Next thing, this happens. This dude pops up with this comment. And at the top here he said, I'll have tons of disagreements with the replacement CSW provided. And the comment at the bottom says, she vetoed it. Intent to disagree. I didn't veto anything. I said I wouldn't participate. I'm entitled to. So can you see, deliberate fibs. And just below his comment, this account said, check out the community I created. This is a drop. I get lots of strange comments, but anyway, I saw that and some people responded to him. So he said what he said. Then we held this space. And this very chronologist was in the space. And in there, Mustache Man said he thinks he's heard that My Lunch Break has done a Little Season video. And I immediately said, that's not possible. He's now Little Season. Never. Never. Because My Lunch Break is Tartaria. He's not Little Season. In fact, he did a small video way ages ago where he discussed the Little Season briefly. But that was just clickbait. Little Season bait. And now he's done this recent one where the title says Little Season. And everybody's now going, oh, he's Little Season, he's found Jesus. No, he hasn't. He's involved with Stu Peters. We all know who that is. And he's sponsored by the wellness company. We all know who that is. And in the documentary he made, which was produced by Stu Peters, it was all Tartaria. No Little Season jack squat. And they are at outer lands and aliens. He does not look at meltology. He does not look at the timeline. He does not. So please. And I said, never. I'll eat my hat. What does chronologist do? Goes in that space and he goes and he tags My Lunch Break. Says, always knew you'd get there, MLB. Absolutely killing it, man. Anyway, this is the one I wanted to show you. Here's the one where he said, never had a doubt you'd get there. To the space. Chronologist did that once before, by the way. Have a look. 30th of January. Saying don't conflate Tartaria with the Little Season. JT still does that, by the way. Rehashing old content. Look at the bricks. He's since changed it. Tartaria was not the millennial reign. Accuracy is important. People conflate the two. MLB is deliberate. Who pops up? And what does he do? He tags him. Is My Lunch Break doing that, though? He's got vids on angels. Another one is going, angels, angels, angels. You see that his work is an unmitigated win. That's nonsense. It blurs the lines and people don't see it. Odd, right? And I clocked that hard. So next I went back to that first thread where I was tagged because chronologist was there too. And I said to him, hey dude, why did you tag My Lunch Break to that space? He came back with some inane comment. And I said, no, buddy, your comment sits here. And I started with a Paul denial response from him. The fact that the book had been changed. I started there, and then I went through what MLB is, and what he does, and what he believes. And I sent that back. Who pops up with a reply? Pula. doesn't mean just because they're a shill they don't have good info. No, Beulah. A shill always has agenda info. It's about what they don't say. Anyway, I clocked that. And I just said, that's not the point, Beulah. I find shills always work in packs. They always defend each other. Kronos defended MLB. And, then Beulah defends Kronos. It's just how they work when we're dealing with an obvious shill, and people should just say it. Anyway, so I blocked Kronos, and he then changed his profile picture to this. Have a look. Now, why would he do that? Is it to cast shade? Cast doubt? That's what shills do. They muddy the waters, folks. Besides the little season group, suddenly we had lots of small accounts who were all little seasons. They're new and small and very vociferous, all over the place, even starting groups. This is the account who started the group. This is the one who did the drop. I followed this account and the account followed me back. But since I've been warning about groups, I noticed that this account has unfollowed me. Let's quickly look at this account. Bluebeam is a hoax. Research Surge Monast. It was a mind experiment to see if it would fly, and it has. They can't do the whole world with Bluebeam. It's just baloney. Retweeting this dude, biggest antichrist person out there, who blocked me without any interaction, of course, because that's what shills do. And then the usual interaction on my lunch break thread. These smaller accounts do that. Let's see. Cabbage Patch Kids. They could have, but just like water, we can get back to our original souls that they tried to take away. What? Life is amazing and a test. Opening to get our souls back, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Oh, I like that. I'll have a think upon it. Okay. This is not biblical, is it? Just saying. Then let's look at the fellowship. So we've got all these members. All these members sitting in here. But look who else is here now. Little Season Fellowship was the admin, and look at who's become the mod here. Interesting, right? I find it fascinating. But people won't see it. And then I held a space. My own space, and Silky and I co-hosted. And in there I tried to warn about infiltration. In the second space, I warned again against shills and said, careful of infiltration. When I scheduled the second space, lo and behold, I see JT organized a space in a hurry. Pure coincidence, I'm sure. He normally sends out his stuff well in advance, but this one literally posted 45 minutes before it started, and it coincided, of course, with my space. Total coincidence. Now, the other thing that I've noticed during this time is just people having all sorts of people on their channels. It's like it's a circuit. Everybody does the circuit. Everybody interviews everybody. I don't think that's a very good idea. I don't think so. I don't think it's a good idea to interview this fella when you had a little season chat with him 10 months ago and he directed you to Ed Mabry or Marbury, who says the speed of light decays. He's got a theory about that, which I haven't seen in a peer-reviewed anything, but whatever. But the same Ed Marbury of Truth Unedited or whatever it's called, who had a good go at the little season. And in this interview, Paul was told to pay attention to Ed Marbury. Interestingly, Ed Marbury ran his Revelation series on Nephilim Death Squad. Futurist Revelation series. See how these things work. This guy, the same guy, I said, I think they're light entertainment. I said it to him. I said, you can't soar like an eagle if you hang out with turkeys. And I said, I think they're light entertainment. He said to me, what is your problem with Daniel versus Babylon? I told him, I spent 6 weeks researching the Remilio group and how they work. And I dropped my entire compilation of threads for Corbo. He ignored it and carried on tweeting out, Remilio, that's a red flag, folks. When I said, by the way, I see that you interviewed Donny Deceiver Darkened on your channel, and he's been outed as a two-account shill who uses AI for his Christian tweets. I would suggest either remove the video from your channel or put a disclaimer on there. He totally lost it. And this is what I got in return. Yeah, I dismissed that first sentence. I dismiss all of that, by the way. But this is how people react when you nail them. You see, when people know you have a point, they don't like it, and then they call you names and send you little drawings. And by the way, Corbo calls Twitter a cesspool. He's not the only one calling Twitter a cesspool.
It's a cesspool. I do not want to get involved. I don't want to get
It's
dirty.
not too bad.
Thanks for all the recent follows, but I'm afraid I'm willfully inactive on the cesspool of degenerates platform. Who are the degenerates, Paul? People who make drawings like these, or people who speak the truth? Can you clarify for us? People make mistakes. Like what Corbo wrote there was a mistake. What he drew there was a mistake. Making a sweeping statement about everybody on the platform being degenerates in a cesspool is a mistake. I'm sorry to tell you that, but you're making mistakes. But we're talking about people doing the interview circuit, so let's get back to that. So next I clocked that Eddie Bravo and Paul had a chat. And Paul told him about the little season. And lo and behold, what a coincidence. Guess on whose show Bravo's now been to talk about the little season?
There's a guy named Paul Stobbs I had on my podcast.
None other than Joe Rogan. Good golly. And you know what else? He gave Paul a shout out. And you know what else? Top Lobster tweeted it out. Amazing how these things work. Now here I've got to say, I watched the interview with Eddie Bravo. And Eddie Bravo, in the middle of that interview with Paul, looked like he wanted to cry at one point. He had to hold himself in. Could be very good acting, but it could also be the Holy Spirit. And he couldn't then help but talk about the little season on Joe Rogan. Okay, it could be, but I'm not sure that it is that. When the Wes Huff, Billy Carson thing happened, and Wes went on to Rogan after that, I immediately thought, this is a way to discredit the little season. So if Paul goes on to Joe, Wes will come on to Joe, and just the little season. That's what I see. Because if people don't know that Rogan is a shill, I really can't help them. We'll see if you think it's all innocent. Just concentrate and you'll see the flow. Then I saw this guy being interviewed. Crypto Grady. Apparently Crypto Grady was enthusiastic in the comments and got Paul to chat, and so enthusiastic he could just fall off a cliff, and Paul decided to interview him, is the story. Go and check out the video. That's what he said. So come on, do you want to come on the show? And here is Crypto Grady throwing up sixes all over the place. Has he got a hand problem? And Paul says he randomly interviewed this guy. He looks like a whoop whooper to me. He whoops everything, including my lunch break. Other than that, there are 4 large accounts. There's a Sirius account. Ears to Hear, I see, has now done a little season thing. Some other magical, mystical Wonderland woman who thinks King Arthur's Q is Jesus. And then a large flat earth, large accounts, all of them, posting little season. Now that tells me that instead of fighting it, because preterism we can debunk, we can deal with, the preterism conflation. But that tells me they are coming at us from the outside by pretending to be us. Because they're not us, they're not biblical. They're not biblical. The one flat earther account I hold out on, I'm not sure. I spoke to him and I said, as long as you don't call it preterism, because I find it odd. Because he pinned the main tweet like that, and it's pinned, and he hasn't done anything else on the little season. That in and of itself is odd. It's like they wanted to highlight the little season now. Feels orchestrated. And he tweets people like Brett F.E. Bible Jesus and Fitz Flat Earther, who's a shill. Let me tell you why. Because he's going to tell you that fallen angels are Hollywood stars. He's already done that. Why does he do that? To make it look ridiculous. And because people, 2 large accounts in Little Season can't get their angels thing right, because they've done no Heiser. People don't know where they are. It feels orchestrated. You know why it feels orchestrated? You know why a duck looks like a duck? Because it walks and it talks and it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. Now, if it looks, smells, seems, feels orchestrated, it is. And now after that long intro, which hopefully gives you some insight into why I say what I say, how I think what I think, we can move on and look at the hagiography video that Paul Understanding Conspiracy did with JT, interviewing Adam Bueller, Dan Bueller, whatever his name is, Ad B on YouTube. So let's get back to the video. So they interviewed, let's find him, Adam.
You basically trap it.
Okay, so first thing he did is he asked Adam, Dan Bueller on Twitter, who's apparently laid up in bed and he has been for the last 2 decades or a decade or something. I see a fairly strapping chest there, but what do I know? I'll tell you something else I noticed on him. Is he's got tats on his hands. Watch. See it? See the tats? Tats not for me, but I don't judge based on tats. But what is funny is that it's on the hands. Paul is in cold England. JT's in America. Bueller is in America. And he's sitting there like he's freezing to death. He is closed up to the top here and he's closed down to his wrists. And only the tats on his hands show. My feeling is that he's tatted up. As in completely. That's my guess. Look at the muscles. Usually when one starts tatting one's hands, it's because your body's kind of full. You don't sort of exactly start with a tat on your fingers, do you? Anyway, be that as it may. So Paul picked up on Bueller's hagiographies, which Adam has been dropping for everybody on Twitter. Let me just get this replay going. Bueller's been dropping it for everybody, including myself, on Twitter. Because I've got 15.7k followers there. I hate that word, but there it is. In my experience, Shills drop their work on my timelines. They do it for 2 reasons. They want my followers to see it. And the other reason they do it is they think I'm dumb enough to forward it. I never forward anything unless I've watched it and vetted it myself. It's just how I do things. So he dropped his documents on a tweet of mine. I deleted the main tweet. Why? To let his drop die so that nobody saw it. And I redid the post. Then he dropped it for me again. There was a time before this, I'll mention it now, but then he dropped it for me again and I went, got it the first time. And he said, this is new, or whatever he said. Here it is. And I said, gotcha. Before that, he tagged me. He had sent those docs out in the Little Season group. I've been warning against being members of groups. And I see lots of people in there, including, by the way, a very big EGI account. Just saying. Now, so I'm wondering where the Paul is an invert stuff is coming from. Could it be? Maybe. Who knows? So here he is now explaining that he basically tricked AI. You start by asking it general questions. You don't tell AI what you want, blah, blah, fish base. And then when AI cognises out, AI can't cognize, okay? It's not conscious. I would have said, what do you mean, Bueller? Okay, so they haven't checked the guy, they haven't checked the sources, and they don't stop him when he talks hogwash. Now, besides that, and I get that that happens, I get it. But besides that, 3 opportunities in this live stream where they should have clocked what was being said. And quite honestly, folks, I reckon they should have stopped the stream and said, something's wrong, we're stopping the stream, we need to check.
Agriculture, farming,
There we go. Austin. Now, the only thing, and it is the same Austin Blaze, who's on Twitter. Have a look. Check these sources. I've looked into some of the ones AI pulls and they aren't real. Nobody picked up. Okay, now here is another one. We have to double check that the sources are real. I'm not a good enough researcher to do it. Please, someone. Well, I would have thought that Paul and JT would have done this. Actually, Adam should have done this before he posted it out, right? But if he didn't, then surely Paul and JT should have done it before posting this video out. Or what am I saying? Watch what happens here. There's somebody editing this document live while it's on air. Okay, watch.
Have to relate to glorified saints, the 1,000-year reign of Christ,
there we go.
Satan's release.
Watch anonymous narwhal. Oops, wants to
like
put
I said,
an
the accounts
apostrophe
come
there.
from that whole span. So
See
in the
it?
beginning, it's all like sunshine.
Who's narwhal? It sounds like a good Protestant, eh?
And rainbows, saints.
And in case you don't know how this works, guys, you need permission to edit a document. So this is not a hack or anything like that. People with permission edited the document. Who's April Showers?
Locations like glorified saints leaving basically at the end of the 1,000 years. And then there's tons of like a king will just take his entire court and a large portion of his country and just head towards the Holy Land, which, you know, that's pretty strange. And
well, I think the thing that to me just, you know, be like, oh, well, the Saints built that. And we're like, no, Bob's building that. And he's right over there. What are you talking like?
What are you saying, JT? Are you listening to yourself?
You know what I mean? Like if somebody's attributing glorified saints or angels to building anything during the time they're living, that seems really weird, because, you know, it'd be like saying, oh, by the way, the angels built, you know, I don't know, just pick a building.
Here we go again with the angels built. All right. So now they're bringing messengers and they builders. It's just angels everywhere. I'm telling you that if you know that angels are messengers and not a thing, it's about what a thing does, not what a thing is, you will never say the angels built. Never. And it's this, the angels built, that leads to the angels are Hollywood stars. Stop doing that, please, large accounts. Because if you have no angels, you're left with seraphim, cherubim, and some others.
It's being built in your town right then. It makes no sense, right? It wouldn't be very good. It wouldn't even be very good fiction.
Who's anonymous jackal, anonymous hedgehog? Did you see that at the top? Let me just go back. Watch at the top. Anonymous walrus. Anonymous, whatever that is.
Right then, it makes no sense.
Narwhal,
right?
anonymous dragon, anonymous hedgehog.
Very good. It wouldn't even be very
anonymous
good fiction.
jackal. Do you see it at the top there? What's going on?
If you could kind of prove who did all the stuff.
Last edit was made by anonymous purr. Can't see it because the anonymous purr. Something.
That's there.
One point I'll make real quick before we move on to the
Yes, thanks, Paul. Take the thing away so we can
anybody
see what's going on.
There are all kinds of just basic articles, bloggers and stuff. But this is very interesting. So there are
You're not trying to cover it up, are you?
by the Catholic Church, and you know how they document.
You weren't trying to cover that up, were you, Paul? Why is your hand in front of your mouth?
Miracles, and they verify them somehow or whatever. I don't really agree with all that, but they have saints that like have where they were recorded levitating.
What, do we now have levitating yogi saints? Or what is it you're saying, Beulah?
When they were praying, right?
Let me just find where Paul asks him about the edit, the live edit, because everybody... Okay, here we go.
Someone called, well, we're going by a moniker of Anonymous Narwhal, was editing this document live as I speak. Is this open source? Can people just edit everything we're watching right now instantly? Is that a thing? They were changing Satan to add with brackets or air quotes around it, and they were literally editing this document live just then as we were speaking.
No, that was just happening?
Yeah.
I was wondering who was... I thought it was you doing that.
No, that wasn't me. No. So, Adam, am I about to get an edited version that someone's trying to do damage control on live right now on this show? Is that what I'm about to do here?
They shouldn't be able to...
Ooh, why do you cover your mouth? Why do you cover your mouth? Beulah, watch.
What I'm about to do here.
They shouldn't be able to... Let me just check that real quick.
You know that's a sign when people fib, right? You know that, right? Peoples.
Get behind me, the Satan.
Yeah, because that was...
Okay, JT.
odd. It seemed like they had highlighted the word Satan and wanted to put it in air quotes to all Satan, wherever Satan's mentioned. It seemed like what they were doing there, something, I don't know, is really odd.
No, they were also spooning. All the guys at the top were alive. And then you covered it with the 3 video thingies there, as it is now. Did you do that on purpose? Or was that just luck?
Really strange.
I think it was on purpose, because look here, you're trying to check if it's gone.
No, it's okay.
Let me just double check the permissions on that.
Okay, so he said he'll double check the permissions on that, and we never got back. We never got anything back from Adam. Funny this, eh? Now, surely by now, like, can we stop the live stream already and say, listen, something's wrong, we're cutting this live stream short? Because that would be the right thing to do. The right thing to do. Because one fib brings another fib, brings another fib. That's how lies work. It's just how they work. Pay attention. Here's Blaze again. Austin Blaze. I have not been able to verify a single one of these sources. And JT's watching the chat. Watch. Stay with me if you can, because this video is long, but it gets better. You'll see how one bad decision leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And in the end, it's a cluster.
And then see what you can find out. Obviously, that's the thing, that we could not do this research without AI because I don't speak Latin.
You don't have to speak Latin. You can do this without knowing anything about Latin. Search for the sources.
So if these books are written in Latin or they're written in a different language, then how could we interpret it? But I'm sure you probably could get a summary if you did look these books up.
Throughout the ages, they've used Latin to deceive people and to keep stuff from them. What do you think this is about? That's why it's in Latin.
Looking into, like I said, because the thing is, like, you think AI is making up a source. If the source is real, like I said, obviously
AI is making it up. Check if the source is real. Blaze has just told you. He's just told you. I have not been able to verify a single one of these sources. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, you should have vetted Adam. You should have vetted the sources instead of putting this out and getting thousands and thousands of views based on nonsense. Wow. I also got sent it. I didn't send it out because something was off. And here we are.
I find it very difficult to believe that people on opposite sides of the earth and everywhere in between were writing the exact same stories and saying the exact same things about the North.
Adam Bueller, I don't buy you. I'll show people why I don't buy you. It's not just the sources. It's not just the articles not in the sources. It's not just the Latin, which isn't Latin. But it's also what you did when I started making a few tweets on Twitter. But we'll get there. So JT picks up, says, have you researched these particular books? He's just told you. Then David goes, Austin, where are you looking to verify them? Okay, so enough of this.
Well,
instead of
the Nephilim built all these things.
Checking stuff,
this is all pre-flood buildings.
We have people going insane in a chat, like it's a sporting event.
If you're going to go to flood times,
okay, so we've got just lots of love and whoops and thank you. So let's take a look at some of the comments that we had in this live chat. Because nobody took Blaze seriously for the longest time. Jason Jack, I don't trust AI for anything, to be honest, but I'm listening. Crypto Grady loves everybody, just loves everybody all the time. He even loves me. Doesn't know me. I replied on a thread of JT's with something to someone else, and he popped up right behind me saying, love this stream. You are awesome, man. Keep up the good word. Crypto Grady, nice Jesus, haha. Whatever that means. Jason Jack trying to keep it straight. 536 AD is a hogwash year. We all know it happened earlier. Yeah, Jason Jack. Jackie asks, who's the man speaking? Raw King Kong immediately says, I like this guy, Adam. Right. Someone suggested Sashaka starts a channel. And Sashaka is saying, yeah, just the filling some stuff channel because I ain't competing with the experts here. Okay. Anunnaki school. Nobody slapped that Anunnaki hogwash down. I wish they would. Crypto Grady again. Yeah, I wonder if angles were out and about the earth physically doing stuff during the 1,000 years in a mighty form. What does that even mean, Crypto? Raw King Kong. Exactly, Grady. Could have been. Yes, everything could have been. I caught DeepSeek lying to me. AI. Fibs. You guys are fawning over mysticism and Catholic myth. Do you see what this looks like now, people? To outside, because Deco is not buying. He's a futurist. But you see how this works? Do you see how silly we look now? Thank you. See what I mean? Of course, I checked these sources myself. Look at the date of the recording of this clip at the bottom right. I did this on the 17th. So this video is taken forever, but I checked the sources on the 17th. When I noticed this video going out, I watched the video. Because that is the first document. I thought, ugh. Found the sources on Twat, and I downloaded them, and I started to check them. So I've known what the sources say since before I started making the video. Okay, so the first thing we do is we type in that. Because that is the first document on the page. Actor Sanctorum May, Volume 3. This part is pretty boring, but it's done properly because it will shut this hagiography stuff down so that nobody can pretend that it's real or that it might be real or that sources could be found or anything like that. Just double speed it if it's too much. I know it's very boring, but it's necessary. And so I've downloaded that. And here that is. And now what I want to do is I want to find this article in there. Because that is Latin. And so is this. See, it's Latin. So now we're going to look for it. See what happens. And search. And it's not in there, people. Let's open it. Let's use Adobe. Free version. There it is. Watch the bottom. Bottom right. I'm just letting it do its thing while I'm talking to you so that people can't say I'm faking it. It's looking for it. If it's there, it'll find it. And so while we're waiting, just to tell you what I'm doing is I found the book. And now I'm looking for the article that's supposed to be in it. So I've found the book. I downloaded the book. I've looked for it online using a web browser. But now I'm also using Adobe to search for the article in the book. No matches were found. Thank you. So that means that this, following the darkness that covered the sun, blah, blah, fish paste, manifestation, lovely word, signified, blah, blah, fish paste, doesn't exist because that Codex Lucis Testimonium Sanctorum Transfiguratorum is not in the Jesuit Bollandists' Acta Sanctorum. It's not in there. Okay. So now we're going to do the next one, aren't we? So we're going to go. So I did that with a lot of the sources. And either the actual document doesn't exist, the book, the main reference doesn't exist, or the article referenced in a book doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. It's a lie. Now, I'm not going to make you sit through all of this. In fact, I'm speeding this up, the visuals here, so that we can just get through it faster. I checked it's not in a library, blah, blah, I checked, okay? But that wasn't the main thing that I clocked. That's not the main thing, because some people will now say, oh, I did find it in a... Nonsense. It doesn't exist. Let me show you what I really clocked, what was really a problem for me. Hang on and you'll see it. This is a Jesuit I went through these and then I made comments in a Word document so that I could remember what the heck I'd found. Very soon a pattern started to emerge, a pattern of non-existence. But as I was working through this, I started to clock something else. Have a listen, you'll see what I mean. Now here I clocked this computatio. This was odd to me, because that's a modern term. Now, computatio, or whatever, there's no computer in Latin land. It should be calculus, calculus, not computatio, no computers. Okay, red flag. And all these titles, well, I haven't checked all of them because I don't want to go mad, but the ones I have checked are all the same. They all make errors, Latin errors. I did Latin at university. I can't remember very much, but I understand the structure of the language. Okay, so let's look at some of them. All right, let's start at the top. So, Codex Lucis Testimonium Sanctorum Transfiguratorum. Okay. Testimonium is singular, but Sanctorum Transfiguratorum is plural. That's a mismatch. Can't do that. Okay? Can't do that. Lucis, actually in Latin it's lucis. There's no cha-cha there. But lucis should be luminis. Luminis is light, not lucis. Lucis is poetic. Transfiguratorum is made up. I take it that the idea was to say the transfigured ones. It's just forced in fake Latin. But let's use it. So, but then the title should be Codex Luminis Testimonia, plural, Sanctorum Transfiguratorum. See? Cartographia. Cartographia is straight up fake Latin. It's just modern cartography in a toga. Terrarum mutabilium is fine grammatically, but it doesn't sound like real Latin. Terrarum variabilium, changing lands, would have been better. It's more natural. So better versions would have been tabula, map, tabula terrarum variabilium, or descriptio terrarum variabilium, or mappa even, map, but not cartography, because that's English and it's modern, you see. Chronicon Vigiliae Sanctorum. Now the Vigiliae Sanctorum is absolute gibberish. Vigiliae means night watches, not religious vigils. Okay, so that's a fib. Then the computatio we went through, it should be calculus. By the way, the liberationis satanae is now supposed to mean the setting free or whatever, the freeing of Satan. It should be missio satanae, is how Latin will actually do it. Missio, not liberationis, again, English word. To liberate him. It's nonsense. Then registrum energia perpetuae, okay, energia is Greek, not Latin. So you'd prefer vis, which is force, or potentia, power. Descriptio civitatis sanctorum in Hyperborea. In Hyperborea is wrong. So Latin will use Hyperboreae, genitive. Because of that in, you have to use a noun case. The in determines it. So if you want to say of the Hyperboreans, you'll use the genitive. If you want to say among the Hyperboreans, you'll use the ablative. So it's complicated, but that's how Latin works. So you'll either say in Hyperborees or in Hyperborea, depending on what you want to say. So this title's a lie. It's wrong. It's not results that AI could have even found, because that's not Latin. See? It's a problem. So if you now take that further, there is no way that these are secret Vatican documents that Bueller discovered. It's a lie. Everybody's looking for the documents. Nobody can find the documents. Donna in the Telegram group now apparently has a copy of it. So have I. So don't change it. Don't change it, because I've got the originals. Now, AI did not do this on its own. Somebody typed these titles up in English and gave it to AI to spit out in so-called Latin. This is a deliberate hoax. So when I figured this out, I thought, okay, let me drop some hints on Twitter and we'll see what Bueller does. Show you here what I did. on the 18th of March at 20:01. So that would be, Paul, your end, 6:01. Always wondered when my Latin would come in handy, and I sent that out. And then I sent this out. That's weird. I'm looking at a document, something postulated as proof of something. It has Latin in it. The Latin grammar in it ain't legit. That's weird. Maybe I should focus on that a bit harder. Then I quoted Paul from the video. He has given me no reason not to trust him. And then I followed it up with another tweet which said, here's a Latin phrase for you, falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus, which means if one thing is a lie, the rest probably is too. Know that Beulah and I are mutuals, so he would have seen my tweets. I knew he would. I sent them out for him to see. So with the bait in the water, I sat back and waited a couple of hours to see what would happen. Didn't know what would happen. I didn't know if anything would happen. But in about 12 hours or so, next morning, I checked the video comments to see if there'd been any movement, and indeed there was. Beulah had made a public service announcement. And Paul had pinned it, and I had no idea what it was about. But that takes it back to when? The 18th. What happened on the 18th? I dropped my bait in the water. If there's anybody in here that is of the mindset that Joe and Paul somehow offended me or cut me off, or that they're shills, please listen. I do not feel offended, bothered by, or in any way feel disrespected during that video. I'm extremely grateful for Paul and Joe being on the front lines in dealing with people. I'd much rather prefer to be the John the Baptist. What the heck? I can't make your decisions for you, and I can't claim who is or who isn't what with certainty, but I can state emphatically that I love these men as my brothers. What's up with this military lingo? It's so odd. Anyway, something had happened, but I didn't know what it was. So, of course, I needed to now go to Beulah's account to go and see on Twitter, to go and see what was going on there. So back to Twitter to check out Beulah's account, and this is from the 19th. What is this about? What happened here? I want to apologize. I should have known better than to research live and tell what I was doing. It seems my ability to use AI has been stopped dead. What? Quite literally won't work, and I should have waited like I normally do before I posted it. I got caught up in the moment. But sadly, it seems I should have just done it in private, because now I can't even get it to lie to me. Yo, Beulah. At this point, I still hadn't realized that the documents had been deleted and that a whole fake story had been concocted to explain why. Okay, so now I'm lost, right? I'm looking at all that and I don't know what's happened. So I went back to the video and I worked through the comments to try and figure out what the heck was going on. And very soon I realized that the documents had been deleted. Oh no, it's gone. What's happened, Beulah? Let's find the second document. Oh no, it's gone. Where's it gone, Adam? But you see now, fortunately, what I did is I saved it. Let me show you. See? All here. Open the next one. Here we go. All here, I've got it. So nobody can try and tell me that what I have is not what was given through. I've got what was given through. So best to leave these documents alone now and not try and force them down our throats again. So this was also recorded on the 19th. Right. Lisa Bisa Original, 2 hours ago. The Google Docs link is removed. I was reading through it and would like to spiritually judge for myself. Thomas TSE, 13 minutes ago, was about to ask the same. It's gone. Remember, this is now all in reply to Beulah's public service announcement. Okay? Pay attention to this comment. Remember this comment. Wilson4439. Hi. Are you the same chap who said in Telegram group that the annals of Ulster and annals of Hibernia, I mentioned glorified saints and a great migration north. Did you just take AI's word for this and not check the documents yourself? No, Wilson, he made it up. Because I spent all day and evening copy and pasting line by line into Google Translate, and there's nothing of sort mentioned. Indeed, it doesn't exist. He made it up. So with the help of someone else, I realized that Paul had done another video on the mystery of the missing documents, apparently. Some long story from Beulah, okay, which I just simply don't buy, okay. He deleted the document because I baited him into deleting the documents. He realized that I'd caught the hoax by spotting the Latin tosh. And Paul's believing him. Why? Why? Anyway, before I leave this video and move on to the comments in the previous video, because they're important, I need to show you something. This comment here, this one here about you can find them on Amazon, is total tosh. Total tosh. It's a fib, okay? It's at best inaccurate. At worst, it's a plant. It's a planted comment. Now, here's the problem with lies. If you start with one, you can't stop. Do you remember this comment? The one that said, are you the same chap who said in the Telegram group that the Annals of Ulster and Annals of Hibernia mention glorified saints and a great migration north? Did you just take AI's word? I spent all day and evening copy and pasting line by line into Google Translate, and there's nothing of the sort mentioned. That comment has been deleted. See, there's Lisa's comment. There's the was about to ask the same, and below that was Will's son's comment, and it's gone. It's not here. One of two people could have done that, Paul or the person who made the comment. It's not the only comment that's been deleted. This from a follower of mine on Twitter. She made this comment, got notified that someone had replied to her comment, and when she went to check, the replies were there, but her comment had also been deleted. See, there's the comment in question. Cut and paste AI generated. Ooh, Paul refers to that. He refers to that in his mop-up operation. Sorry, I should say he refers to that in his mystery documents follow-up. He definitely read this because he refers to it. I'll play it for you now. Too much repetition, practically word for word. And I'm wondering too, definitely now, this is where my Twitter followers comment was. It's no longer here. But I know that Paul read that. He read this. Excerpts too identical, cut and paste, too much repetition. That AI enemy comment deleted. Now listen to what Paul says, because he must have deleted that comment because my Twitter follower didn't. And why I say he knew about that comment. He knows because he refers to it here. Listen.
And then something odd started to happen. So a day passes, and obviously people are downloading this document left, right, and centre, and they're reading it, and I'm getting comments coming through on my Telegram saying they can't find any of the sources for any of these statements at all. Some skeptics were saying, well, a lot of these events do seem like copy and paste imagery of the same story over and over again, with minor variations and a different title slapped on it. So is it just that, is it just AI copy and pasting the same stories and not adding much more to it, but to create the illusion of more accounts than there actually is?
So it was to that comment that my Twitter follower had replied, and it's her reply that got deleted. AI is a tool of the enemy. Now for Paul's mop-up video. When he recorded this, he was completely aware that he had deleted comments.
Again, we gave all the appropriate caveats, because
late.
I am not looking to make this movement look stupid. I don't want to do that.
Paul, you are sitting here doing this video knowing full well that you deleted comments. At best, you and JT made a serious error by not vetting Adam and the sources. I also noticed that you're wearing branded t-shirts more often. You've got a little logo on your microphone now. You're branding up. What's that about, Paul?
You know, I want the research and the evidence we have to be solid. Like Gunnar Heinsohn's research, for example, I think the evidence he presented is solid in his presentation in Toronto in 2016 about the strata layer and the missing 700 years. And that confirms a lot of things about our timeline and where we are on it.
Yeah. Do you know, where did you get that from, by the way? Do you remember? Do you remember, JT? I know where you got it from. People had it long before I did, by the way. I was late to it. I came across it on Madeline's channel, actually. And I passed it on. Do you know why? Because I watched it and I considered it and I thought about it and I thought it was good. So I passed it on. I don't mind that you guys used it and intersected it at all. But that's how one does it. You check it first and then you pass on. You don't pass on and then check. Because then you will make everybody look nuts and stupid. And that's what's happened. Sorry to tell you.
But then when this came along, it's kind of like I wanted this to be so true, and it could still be true. I'm not saying it's not true, but what I'm saying is it's hard to find the original sources at the moment.
No, Paul, it's not true. If you persist with this iffy-wiffy, wishy-washy nonsense, it's not going to be good. It's not true. It's a lie. The fake Latin, means somebody typed that up in modern English using words like cartography and compute and asked for it to be spat out in Latin. Mistakes. Human error. It's a lie. There's only one right thing to do now, and you know what that is, Paul. You know, Donnie Darkins couldn't do it, and he's a real shill. How people will view you going forward will depend on how you behave now. Why did you delete those comments? Are you going to say a mod did it? Is that what you're going to say? Or call it hate? How much longer will you ignore what's happening at the Arctic and not dealing with meltology properly? Then another thing that bothers me is what was Crypto Grady doing on your channel? Because he's all over this. He's all over the little season. He's almost like, and forgive me to use a prawn term, but he's like a social media fluffer. You whooping for no reason. What is he supposed to do? Why is he around? Is he doing hype for you? Is that his role? Because at this point, the whole thing looks totally orchestrated, ending in a Joe Rogan appearance. And then Wes Huff will come and debunk the little season. Is that what's going on? At which point are you going to shut the my lunch break stuff down?
And
Yeah, my lunch break. It's like I've been devouring that. Just here over the last week, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
At which point will you and JT realize that angels are not things? Angels is a job description. It's messengers. It's about what a thing does, not what a thing is. So that we don't have these narratives of fallen angels and Hollywood stars being conflated left, right, and center.
So obviously under the, I'm starting to wonder if like actual fallen angels are
What?
athletes.
What?
I can speak from also.
That's a shill narrative.
what you're talking about.
And you
Like,
can make this
because we
off
haven't
as
done the
nothing
conspiracy research,
and say it's
I
nothing.
know
What
we're
must
gonna
people do
understand
with their
what I'm talking
hands?
about, especially when it
Am I
comes
now
to
not
something
supposed
like
to
the
throw
little
up
season.
sixes? Or
Because we're not just
can I
getting
not
away
do the
with
okay
it.
sign anymore?
You've seriously got to.
I'm telling you, Paul, this is
You've
off.
got to actually
No
do the
reason for the
research
guy
first
to have done this,
to
and
get
you sat there
context,
like
and
it
then you hear
wasn't
the
a
little thing
thing.
about. Because if you haven't done the conspiracy research, you're
Right.
not going to understand what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to something like the little season. Because we're not just getting there from like nothing. You've seriously got to. You've got to actually.
Why did you
do the
interview
research
this guy,
first
Paul?
to get context.
Did you orchestrate this whole thing? Have you been had? Or did you orchestrate this? Bueller, he also deleted the documents off Twitter. How did I know that? It was easy to find. I just went to look for Crypto Grady's whoop whoop tweets. And then I could find the deleted tweets that Bueller did. Not hard. Bueller knows that these texts, these hagiographies, are fake. And he's now running around looking for anything to substantiate that stuff, okay? Including posting Gnostic stuff like Pistis Sophia. It's unbiblical stuff. It reminds me of Chronologist's tweet. I mean, look at this, Perla. It's my understanding, if the millennial reign of Christ had already took place, that the sun would have long ago turned to darkness and the moon would have long ago turned to blood. I mean, this is what we're dealing with in the group. Same guy who was upset because we didn't read the Paul Denial version of The Little Season. What's going on? Are you standing by Beulah? Are you standing by Beulah? Paul, you're going to stand by him. Beulah had a graphic ready to go with a new Little Season timeline, right? And that was tweeted out by somebody, and I got tagged and somebody said, CSW Architectura, your thoughts? The person who sent the tweet out was pretty quick to delete it. Better call. On that graphic, it said, at the bottom, it refers to Satan's rule or reign. He doesn't reign. He deceives. Jesus reigns forever. It's unbiblical stuff. You know that, right, Paul? Do you know that he doesn't rule, but he deceives? I'm asking because you've been on Liberty Lockdown. This is now after the hagiographies, after you deleted all the comments, after you know that it's not legitimate, after all of that, on Liberty Lockdown on your way to Rogan. And this is what you said.
And then Satan's let loose from his prison after 1,000 years, and he gets to rule for a little season.
Are you going to keep saying that? Because that's a mistake, By the way, how stressed were you when you went onto Liberty Lockdown podcast? Because, blood pressure is a funny thing when one is stressed. It makes one's cheeks go ruddy and then one has to wear makeup. That's too much. Whoever did that, too much. Now, after all of this, you deleted the comments. You know that the hagiographies thing is fake. So now, given that, why did you do this, Paul?
Is there any documentation from his followers in 70-ish AD that discusses his return? Is there any evidence of this?
Hagiographies. So hagiographies are the accounts of the saints, which ruled during the millennial reign. And yeah, they were pretty adamant and pretty clear that, they were living through the reign of Christ.
People are gonna be angry with me because of this. What must I do? Keep quiet? Must I keep quiet? Would you prefer me to lie and not say anything? Or is it okay for me to just speak the truth and tell you what I found? I'm choosing to do the latter. And unfortunately, it's going to make a few people feel seriously uncomfortable, and I apologize for that. Not my intention. There is collateral damage. And the entire Little Season group has been collaterally damaged. And it's bad. So it looks like America's on the cards for sure. By the way,
Guys, can we talk about Tartaria for a minute?
it was on this thread of JT's that he got heads up about the Eddie Bravo call out to Paul Stobbs on the Joe Rogan show. And he went, that's amazing. Whoop, whoop. And then Stoops replied with, hang on. This could be a way to discredit the Little Season. Because we know who Rogan is. We know who Bravo is. Indeed, Stoops, I agree. But what is really interesting is that JT didn't reply at all. Not at all. Why is he quiet? It's a valid concern. Anyway, here is Paul talking about the Bravo shout out.
And he's like, man, I'm all in now with Christ. Just like he said to me on that text. Like, I'm all in. Christ is king,
Okay, this Christ is king thing, I said the other day on Twitter, it's trending. Nothing trends unless they want it to trend. And what did somebody drop on that tweet for me? Jordan B. Peter Shill, advocating for turning Christ is king into hate speech. Do you see how all these things sit together?
And I'm getting suddenly a flood of messages.
I mean, Christ is king. Nobody disagrees with that. Nobody disagrees with that. But do you see what I'm trying to tell you?
Messages coming in from every platform, X, Twitter, what used to be Twitter, Instagram, in my Telegram, just messages everywhere.
So this video is now Paul talking about the shout out on Rogan. And now there's talk of a convention in Vegas and goodness knows where, what. Okay, great. And he'll go on Rogan, I reckon. But if it were me, I wouldn't go. And also, I certainly wouldn't start conventions. Why not? Have you seen what flat earth conventions look like? And how they portray them? Like insane people. The flat earthers. The little seasonists. Can you see where this is going? Or not?
Emails from people saying Eddie Bravo just said Christ is king. Joe Rogan's talking about all the, and I'm just getting bing ding, no, everything's dinging all at once, and then suddenly went quiet.
You're gonna have to come clean about deleting comments and hiding the fact that you either knew right off the bat that it was nonsense, or you found out that it was nonsense and then tried to hide it. But what you certainly cannot do is you cannot go forward and mention the hagiographies at all. Not at all. Because I have thoroughly debunked them.
Is there any evidence of this?
Hagiographies.
You cannot use it as proof. Not even remote proof, not even maybe a possibility of proof, not maybe we can't find the sources yet. No. So, I'm going to finish this video and then I'm going to post it on Twitter. And then all heck is going to break loose, of course. But I have no choice. So that's where we are. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry it's been long. But it's the best and it's also not as organized as it should have been, but it's a thing it's unfolding as I'm making this video, but I've got to put it to bed now. So God bless you, and I'm sorry if I've offended anybody that I didn't mean to offend. Don't want to throw anybody under the bus that shouldn't be thrown under the bus. But everybody needs to sharpen up. And we must not stop being critical of our own. And it's okay if you criticize me too. You may not like my manner, but what you're not going to get from me is a filth. I will not lie. I refuse.
When it comes down to it, there'll be many who will come to Christ and say, did I not do a good job? I prophesied in your name, you know, I did everything for you. And he'll say, turn from me, you work of iniquity, I never knew you. You know, there are a lot of people out there who profess with their mouth that they are Christians, but their behavior says otherwise.
A lot.
That's all that counts at the end of the day. Don't listen to what they're telling you, look at what they do.
Okay, so thank you for watching. And when there's another cluster, I'll probably do another video. Who knows? I don't know where we're going to go. Thank you for watching. Dunzo.